Welcome to the Brooklyn Technical High School Virtual College Fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. Each will have 6 minutes to share more about their institution, but they will be around the entire time to answer your questions. My name is Raina and I will be your facilitator. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items to cover. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the schedule on the website, including the sessions for tomorrow, April 7th. This presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/Brooklyn Tech. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our first presenter, Lehigh University.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Kaylin Richmond, and I'm your admissions counselor for Lehigh. And without further ado, I will go ahead and get started. So some basic information about Lehigh. We are a medium-sized research institution. So with that in mind, we have a little over 5,500 undergraduate students coming from across the country and across the world. On the screen, you can see that 17% of our students are the first in their family to attend college. So we do have some amazing resources available for those students, like our Center for Student Access and Success. They provide different programs for students like Lucy, which allows them to move onto campus early and help them transition to campus as smoothly as possible. On the screen, you also see that 28% of our students identify as someone from an underrepresented background. So we do have some opportunities for students to build their community and have a safe and inclusive space that's just for them. We have our Office of Multicultural Affairs. We also have the Pride Center, which is nationally ranked. Lehigh is number 9 in the country for being most LGBTQ friendly. And then we also have our Center for Gender Equity. Lehigh does have an anti-racism stance on our campus. So I'll talk a little bit more about our admissions process later, but we make sure that students share those same values as us. I mentioned before that Lehigh is a research institution. 20% of students were able to participate in research from 2019 to 2020. And students can start doing research as early as their freshman year. 2 of our students were starting winter. 1 student went abroad to Australia to do research. Another student went to Japan to do research. When you apply to Lehigh, you have 4 colleges that you can choose from. You are admitted into that specific college, but not into a specific major. For arts and sciences, business, and health, you have until the end of your sophomore year to declare a major. For College of Engineering, you have until the end of your first year. And our average classes is 28. We do have some amazing partnerships through Lehigh. The first one being the United Nations. We regularly do trips up to the UN headquarters over by you all in New York City, where students can get a behind the scenes look at what global decision makers are doing. There are some opportunities for you to get involved on campus. We have over 200 clubs for you to choose from, ranging from being academic-based to community service-based, advocacy, you name it, we probably have it on our campus. And in case you weren't sure, here is where we are located. On the screen, you can see that we do have a West Coast presence through the Lehigh NASDAQ Center. If you are interested in entrepreneurship, I highly recommend that program. It happens over the summer, 3 weeks, either with our Startup Academy or with our Silicon Valley program. These are some pictures of our campus and the local community. Lots of really funky art all over south side of Bethlehem. Lehigh students are built for success. 97% of students from the class of 2021 were able to find a job or were admitted into grad school within 6 months of graduation. So students range from going to KPMG to Google, Apple, the Peace Corps, huge list that I'll be willing to share with you in the chat later on. Lastly, when you're applying to Lehigh, we have early decision and regular decision. Early decision is the binding contract. So what that means is you have committed to Lehigh before you see your financial aid. And if you're admitted, you will be attending Lehigh. Lehigh does have amazing financial aid. You'll need to submit the materials that are listed on the page. We are able to give financial aid and merit. There's nothing that you need to do in order to be considered for merit. All students are considered. It is, however, very holistic. So we're looking at you as an overall person. We're not just looking at your test scores or your GPA. We want to make sure that you're going to really positively impact our community. And that is it. I will turn it back over to the next presenter.
Thank you, Lehigh University. Okay, next on our agenda, we have the University of Pittsburgh.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Winfrey. I operate as the New York State-based regional recruiter for the Office of Admissions and Financial Aid with the University of Pittsburgh. A little bit about myself. I'm actually based out of Rochester, New York. So I live in upstate New York. I'm a proud Pitt alum. I graduated from Pitt back in 2013. And really, I'm really here just to assist with the application and admissions process, and most importantly, to advocate for you throughout the admissions process. So you have my contact information here. And I'll post it once again in the chat when I'm finished. So of course, we are stationed in the city of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is in the western part of Pennsylvania. We are considered to be a medium-sized urban campus. We have a student population of close to 20,000 undergraduates. So we're not too big. We're certainly not small. We're sort of right in between, which is how we like it. So the city of Pittsburgh is actually a really unique city. It's comprised of close to 90 different neighborhoods altogether, and every neighborhood has their own sort of identity. So we're actually settled in the Oakland neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh. We share Oakland with Carnegie Mellon University and Carlow University. So you really get this sort of inclusive environment that our students love. You see, we have a lot of green space. So we have a lot of trees, we have a lot of grass. We also have a lot of tall buildings as well. So you really get the best of both worlds with the traditional campus feel with the green space, as well as the urban environment with the tall buildings. So I like to describe the University of Pittsburgh as being a well-rounded university. We do a lot of things extremely well. The truth of the matter is that students come from all over the world to attend Pitt for a number of different reasons and a number of different programs. So a lot of our programs are nationally ranked, and really you're going to find students coming from all walks of life from all over. As far as the academics are concerned at Pitt, we have 6 freshman entry-level schools. And so these schools are the schools that students are able to apply directly to as an incoming freshman. You have to select from one of these 6 schools. So we have the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences, we have the Swanson School of Engineering, we have the College of Business Administration, we have the School of Computing and Information, we have the School of Nursing, we also have the School of Public Health. So when students apply to Pitt, they have to choose from one of these 6 schools initially on their application. We also have what's called upper level division schools, and there's 5 of them. The way these schools work, students would typically start in the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences for 2 years. Then they would apply to transfer into the school which houses their respective interests depending on their program. So for example, if you're a student and you're interested in our pharmacy program, that's a 6-year program altogether. You would do 2 years in the Dietrich School of Arts and Sciences, followed by an additional 4 years in the School of Pharmacy, 6-year program altogether, and then students will be graduating with their PharmD degree. So depending on their program, depending on the program that you're interested in, there's going to be different completion requirements and timeframes depending on the school that you're interested in pursuing. So switching it over to student life, most students are definitely involved on campus in some way, shape, or fashion. We have over 600 different student clubs and organizations to choose from. So that means that anything that you guys were involved with here in high school, you can certainly continue once you're a student at Pitt. As far as sports are concerned, we are a Division I institute. Most popular programs being our men's basketball and our football team. Season tickets for the football games are only $25 for students, which is an excellent deal. We actually play at the same stadium that the Steelers play at, which is Heinz Field. So really just a great way to go out and show some school support, show some school spirit with your friends. We offer a number of different internship opportunities and co-op opportunities. We actually have a 100% internship guarantee program for all of our students, and it doesn't matter what you're studying. That program is ran through our Career Services Office, and they ask students to complete what's called an internship prep program, which has things such as resume building workshops, job interviewing workshops, things like that. So once you complete that program, you're guaranteed at least one internship by the time that you graduate, which is a great resource for students. We also have over 350 study abroad programs, and they span to over 75 countries. We really think that it's important for students to be prepared for a global workforce. You're going to find many students studying abroad outside of this country, which is also an excellent resource. As far as the application process is concerned, we're going to be looking primarily at 5 pieces of materials. The application itself, we're going to be looking for a $55 application fee. We are actually going to be requiring the self-reported academic record for next year, which is the tool that allows you to submit your own grades and your own coursework. We are test optional, so whether you want to apply with test scores or without test scores is completely up to you. We do not have a preference for students applying one way versus another, so whatever is the most convenient for you. As far as supplemental information is concerned, we're going to be looking at either the Common App essay and or a personal statement. And we practice rolling admissions, so that means that you can apply to us at any time. There is no deadline to apply to us by. The rule of thumb is that the earlier that you apply to Pitt, the earlier that you're going to be receiving your admissions decision back from us. With that being said, I encourage all students to apply early. Early in this case would be before November of your senior year, just because seats tend to fill up pretty fast. So we don't have early decision or early action or anything like that. And that's pretty much it. So you have my contact information one more time on the screen. I would highly encourage everyone to visit us. If you go on our website, we list all of our in-person visiting options as well as our virtual visiting options. And I'll go ahead and put my contact information in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, University of Pittsburgh. Just a reminder, everyone, you can use the Q&A feature to type your questions for all of our presenters. They are monitoring those questions. Okay, next we have Babson College.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Jefferson Ajapong. I'm one of the first year counselors here at Babson. I'm a little bit about myself. I'm originally from New York City. I'm actually from the Bronx. So good to be talking to people I'm very used to being around. But welcome to Babson. Babson is located here in Wellesley, Massachusetts, which is about 20 to 25 minutes away from the city of Boston. So students really have that ability to have that private campus feel and be in a community amongst their peers without having to give up that hustle and bustle of a city nearby. Now, Babson, we're known for entrepreneurship. In fact, we are the leading school for entrepreneurship for the past 25 years. So it's pretty safe to say everyone at Babson is an entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean everyone after graduation is starting a business, although a percentage of students do start a business. When I refer to being an entrepreneur, it's really a reflection on the mindset, being able to think critically, ask complex questions, and begin applying social, economic, and even political change into that business world. And that process and that journey of learning really starts on your first day at Babson. I mean, one of the first classes you take is called Foundations of Management Entrepreneurship, also known as FME. And essentially in this course, students learn how to open and close a business, but they don't do it just through theory, they actually do it through practice. And so students spend the year looking at the UN sustainability goals, picking up an issue they would like to address, and then creating a product or a service. And they spend the spring semester at selling that product or service to on campus, domestically, or even internationally. Now, coming to Babson, everyone receives a bachelor's of science in business management. So there's not majors and minors just here at traditional college or university. Instead, students have concentrations or areas of focus in which they study in. Students have 25 concentrations to choose from. For some traditional pathways such as finance, accounting, marketing, some non-traditional pathways such as environmental sustainability, leadership, justice and citizenship, and a bunch of other more. Now, we do encourage students to explore their academic prowess, and one of the ways we do that is being part of a BOW program, which essentially stands for Babson, Olin, and Wellesley. So students at Babson College are able to take courses at Wellesley College, as well as Olin College for engineering. Now, a little demographics about this last class. So in the class of 2025, you're looking at about 46% of the class being women, and I mean, we are a pretty diverse campus. I mean, we have about 50% of the student body from last year are students of color. And even when looking at the entire school population, there are about 2,600 students that come to Babson. So you're looking at about 600 to 700 students per class year. And even of that 2,600, almost 30% of this campus is international. So you quite literally have people coming from all over the world to join the Babson community. And it makes sense. I mean, when looking at business, there's no one right way to run a business, no one right business model. So being able to see the different cultural implications on business only understands and elevates your understanding of business. Now, some stats about career development as a Babson student. All Babson students are very much prepared for their career and their life following their Babson tenure. And that's primarily because our Center for Career Development does a really good job of creating a culture where seniors aren't asking themselves, what job am I going to get, but more so, which opportunity do I want to take? And I think that's really important to know that seniors come into senior year not stressing about jobs they're going to get, but more so trying to figure out the opportunity that they and the pathways they would like to take. And if you're looking at some of the statistics here, 99.5% of students within those first 6 months after graduation are able to achieve their next steps, whether they're starting their own business, going to the career pathway of choice, or even attending graduate level schooling. And I mean, almost 90% of students hold one or more internship over the time of their Babson career, which is pretty high considering we don't have any official co-op programs. You'll find students interning domestically in the city of Boston or even internationally while students choose to study abroad. And when looking at the application process, we go through a holistic process here at Babson. And so as you visit a bunch of schools and you're listening to a bunch of schools talk, they may mention they go through a holistic process. And essentially what that means is while our team and I review applications, we have a quantitative and a qualitative lens. And so we look at your transcript, school report, test scores, all on one side, and then your personal statement, supplemental essay, and the optional interview on the other. I mean, the average Babson student comes in with about a B+ A- average in their high school environment. And at Babson, test scores are optional. Due to the pandemic and all of our lives being affected in one way or another, in the first time in our history, we are now test optional. And so between now and 2025, students aren't required to submit their test scores. And we really are true into that nature. I mean, in the last 2 years, our first 2 years as test optional, we've held that 50% students are admitted with and without test scores. So really are in the middle there. In terms of financial aid and scholarships, Babson meets 100% of demonstrated domestic need. And so when you're filling out your FAFSA, your CSS profile, definitely, pay attention to those due dates. You don't want to put a comma in the wrong place or add an additional zero somewhere, because that's no fun. And that only takes 90% of student financial services budget. That final 10% actually goes towards merit-based scholarships. And so if you look on our website, you'll see a drop down of all the different types of scholarships that we offer, from the amount to the type of student that receives each scholarship. And as you apply, you'll be able to add that to your application and let us know if you'd like to be considered for a scholarship. But we do provide student scholarships that may not necessarily have opted into it. But if you know that there's one in particular you'd like to be considered for, let us know. And if you're looking to apply to Babson, you apply via the Common App. You'll add Babson to your list of schools, and the application will populate. And if you can see here, these are just some of the deadlines. If you're looking to apply early or regular. I'll leave my contact information in the chat in order for you all to get a chance to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Babson College. Okay, up next, we have Union College joining us.
Good afternoon / evening, everyone. My name is Michael Moore. I'm one of the associate deans at Union College, and I've been here for 3 years. So I've gotten a lot of new information, a lot of changes, updates, improvements to our 227-year-old campus. Thank you for joining us. So part of my presentation, I want you to just focus on a couple of things. I have a few slides, obviously, but the most important thing I'd like to get you to focus on is engage, explore, and thrive. Those are kind of cornerstones of what we try to do with our students. So at Union College, as the name implies, union is where things intersect, connect, come together. And we're not talking about just in terms of the flexibility of our curricula, but we're also talking about different people and platforms that thrive at Union College. We talk a lot about power, even though we are only 2,200 students. We're located in Schenectady, New York, which is just at the convergence of the Hudson and Mohawk River in central eastern New York. So if you're thinking about where we're located, 2.5 hours north of New York City, 3 hours west of Boston, 2 hours east of Syracuse, and 3 hours just south of Montreal. So when all of our friends down in Brooklyn and the Bronx say, oh yeah, you're upstate, that gives you a little bit more context. Usually you guys think of anything past Yonkers as upstate. So one of the sources of power we talk about is our connection. And truly it speaks to how relatable our faculty are, where they come from. They connect you to their historical regions where they grew up, but also where they focus their attention and research. So it's all about putting students in connection, in contact with experiences and the information that we think is going to help them build and thrive on our campus. In addition to that, we like to focus on the power of integration. So integration with us, as I mentioned before, can relate to how flexible and malleable our curriculum are. We have 4 divisions. We have a humanities, social sciences, a STEM division, which includes about 15–20% of our students that are studying computer science and engineering. And we also have the 4th division, which is the arts. So we don't have a conservatory program, but students are submitting their portfolios when they apply for any of our programs in the arts. About 85% of our students are doing interdisciplinary, or what we call ID majors, in addition to having minors across all 58 different major programs that are offered. And then finally, we have about 10% of our students are doing what we call organizing a theme. We don't use the word necessarily create or design your own major, but that's essentially what it is. We focus more on taking those different ideas, those different interests and passion, and organizing them into a theme that will serve your academic and career goals. We talk a lot about the power of immersion, which basically refers to how much you tailor that major, how much you tailor that friend group, those experiences, the internships, all of those things that pop up on your outside of the classroom experience, how much you dip or how far you take the deep dive into your program. It might be international or mini-term experiences. It might be research. About 82% of our students are doing research outside of what's required of their class or their sophomore research symposium. We have also students that are involved in internship. About 85% of our students are doing internship. We have about 40 local partners that are walking distance to campus if you want to do an internship. And that's attached to a program that offers about 500 different global partners for those students who want to even get more involved outside of Schenectady, New York. And then we also talk about the power of inclusion. Every student on our campus is expected to bring their whole self with them. There's several different platforms across campus. One I would like to highlight that touches every part of our campus is a 4-headed Chief Diversity Officer collaboration. So we have a Chief Diversity Officer that's working specifically with students, a CDO who's working specifically with administration and hiring and HR. We have another that works with Title IX issues, and we have another who works with, who kind of oversees the 3 of those, and they report directly to our president to make sure that every member of our community feels engaged and a sense of belonging. And then finally, this model that we do is an every student model. In fact, at Union, when you think about exploration, engaging and thriving, think about the every student model, right? So we basically, what we do at Union College is we develop every student to lead with wisdom, empathy, and courage across small problems and large, and across multiple tomorrows. So multiple tomorrows can mean next year, could mean 5 years, and obviously the lifetime of your development that will rely on a foundation that you've developed at Union College. And then finally, Union College offers to meet 100% of demonstrated need for every student that we admit. We also have merit-based awards. And then finally, there is what we call Make Union Possible grants that are available for families, even those who have estimated family contributions up to $95,000. So thank you. That is my time. I look forward to getting to know you a little bit better. Feel free to shoot me a question in the Q&A, and come and see us 2.5 hours outside of New York City when you get a chance.
Thank you, Union College. Okay, joining us next is Penn State University. And again, you can put those questions in the Q&A.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kurt Marshall. I am the Director of Access, Recruitment, and Retention in the College of Arts and Architecture here at Penn State University. I am a Brooklyn Tech alum, class of 1982, Penn State alum, class of 1986. So I'm very excited to be speaking to my Brooklyn Tech students and family. Penn State, what are we? We are a land grant institution across the state of Pennsylvania. We are ranked in the top 1% of world-class universities. We're ranked in the top 10 in the career services. So when you're looking for those jobs, our career services center and internships is second to none. Our 85% graduation rate that we have over 5-6 years and 93% retention rate after our first year in school. So people come and they stay at Penn State and graduate to go on to do great things. We have over 300 study abroad programs. If you're looking into research, we have $1 billion undergraduate research that you have access to through the professors and things that you want to study throughout all of our majors and our colleges. And we're still small, even though Penn State has over 66,000 undergraduate students throughout the entire system. We still have a student faculty ratio of 16:1. So even in a big place, you have a liberal arts feel, you don't feel like you're lost. We are spread throughout the state of Pennsylvania with 20 unique campuses. What that means for you, you have lots of different doors to get into Penn State. And I'll go over some of those requirements a little bit later. Excuse me, I'm not sure why this is not showing right, but there are dots all over this place. We have 20 different campuses across the state of Pennsylvania. University Park is located in the middle. I'm sorry, that screen is not showing currently right. We're about 4 hours away from New York City, from where you are in Brooklyn. We have campuses along the East Coast, West Coast, and any size from 700 students up to 45,000 undergraduate students at University Park, which is our main location, is where I'm located. We have over 275 different academic programs in 12 different colleges here at Penn State. You can come in undecided in our Division of Undergraduate Studies. You can start in my college, Arts and Architecture, Business, Liberal Arts, Information Science and Technology, Education, Earth and Mineral Sciences, Education, myriad of different programs that you can do. And what that also means for you, if you want to change your mind, which some of our students do, you can easily flow from one college to the next. So it gives you lots of academic opportunity without having to change institutions to find something that you're really, really interested in. Student involvement is huge at Penn State. We have over 1,200 clubs and activities. So anything you're looking to do, from aerial club to World of Warcraft club, you can have at Penn State University. We encourage all of our students to be involved. What you're looking at is our Penn State Thon, which is the largest student-run philanthropy in the world. It's totally run by the students, held every February. Every dime goes to help families and children of pediatric cancer. And this year we raised over $13.7 million to help out with help out our families in Pennsylvania.
Penn State, your slide did not advance.
Oh no, can you see that?
Yes, you're advancing now.
Okay. For Penn State, equity, diversity, and inclusion is very important to us. I think Penn State is unique in that fact is that we have not only equity, diversity, and inclusion through our student affairs and residence life, but like myself as an equity officer, we have 2 to 4 people in every single college that are focused on our student success, graduate, undergraduate, working with our faculty and our staff and students to make sure that we are welcoming university as well and that everybody is valued. And we do take that quite seriously. So our equity, diversity, and inclusion at Sensei is very important to me and to Penn State. So we're doing a great job there. About 26% of our students are underrepresented students and 22% of our students are international. We are represented with 133 different countries, and all 50 states are represented at Penn State. This year, we had our largest 110,000 applications, our largest and most diverse pool ever at Penn State University. So we're very proud of that as well. Just skipping through this, we have an online application. You can apply through the Common App, Coalition App, or Penn State's application. We do self-reported academic grades, so we have you enter your own grades, so you don't have to send us a transcript until after you graduate. SAT scores are optional up until 2023 for your class. We're actually discussing this week where we'll continue that, but we've seen great success. So you can send in or not send in your academics, your SAT scores, and we'll evaluate it accordingly. And we also have you create a My Penn State profile. A quick look at what your eligibility can be. This is the middle 50% of our students last year. So as you can see, 50% of our students at our campuses and our University Park. So that means you can have an academic record anywhere from a 3.0 up. SAT scores, if you decide to turn them in, from 950 all the way up to 1600. Lots of opportunities indoors. And anybody has any questions about how that works, we can definitely talk about that. But depending on where you academically fall would mean what campus that we might have you start at. The bigger campus, University Park, as you can imagine, is a little bit more competitive than some of our smaller campuses. And it does give you a great opportunity to be involved to start at a smaller campus than at University Park. Just a quick timeline. August 1st, the application is available. We encourage everyone to fill out the free application for federal student aid. Penn State being a large institution, financial aid is difficult for our first year students. We don't have as much as we would like. We do have more money up front for upper class students. A little bit about our cost here. And just to end up, we have 700,000 living alumni around the world. 1 in every 106 Americans is a Penn State graduate. So that means when you're out looking for that job, your network is huge and we can spread that out and give you great opportunity. And I'll put my information in the chat. Thanks, Raina.
Thank you, Penn State University. Okay, our final presenter will be Haverford College.
Great, thank you so much. It's really wonderful to share this virtual space with you all, and thanks for your time and attention tonight. My name's Kathleen Abels. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the director of admission at Haverford College. I'm also a very proud Haverford alum. I graduated in 2009. And I feel like sometimes we sort of lose the humanity of this process via Zoom. So I always like to share a fun fact. I have 2 rescue dogs. Their names are Granola and Yogurt. So I love breakfast almost as much as I love talking about Haverford. Some quick stats here in the landscape of higher education in the United States. Haverford is certainly on the smaller side, just about 1,425 students. But our students are choosing to call Haverford home from all over the United States and all over the globe. Just under half of our students identify as BIPOC, and like my colleagues, we're really committed to making sure every student feels like they can thrive and be the best version of themselves at Haverford. We meet full financial need regardless of your citizenship. So for US citizens and permanent residents, for undocumented or documented students, and also for our international students. And last year, the average financial aid package was just over $50,000 US a year. Haverford is located just outside of the wonderful city of Philadelphia, about 3 miles from the Philadelphia city line, about 10 miles from Center City, Philadelphia, about 200 acres. You might have seen on one of my first slides, my favorite stat, there's a 6-to-1 tree to student ratio. So you're surrounded by a lot of natural beauty, but you also are able to walk to 2 different train lines on either side of campus, hop on one of those trains, and in about 20 minutes be in the 6th largest city in the United States. We think a lot about our location and a lot about reciprocal relationships. We're really excited for our students to think critically about what it means, of course, to be members of the Haverford community, but also the greater Philadelphia community and very much the global community. And we are located right outside of Philadelphia, which is often known as the city of eds and meds. So there's some of the nation's best hospitals in the city of Philadelphia and some really amazing colleges and universities as well. Haverford was founded by the Society of Friends, or the Quakers, as were the 3 other institutions listed here. And all told together, we make up what's called the Quaker Consortium. Very creatively named, right? But what this means is that our students have the benefit of being at a small liberal arts college. Average class size is 14. Every one of our classes is taught by a faculty member who's at the top of their field academically. And they're at Haverford because they also want to focus on teaching undergraduates, and that sort of duality of their expertise is something that's particularly appealing to our students. We also are one of a handful of institutions to guarantee undergraduate research, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when thinking through Haverford's commitment to the senior thesis experience. But when thinking about sort of choosing to go to a school that is smaller than Brooklyn Tech, I want to be clear that you have an enormous amount of resources at your disposal as a student at Haverford, both on our campus with connections in the city of Philadelphia and throughout this amazing consortium. Our students are able to take courses at Bryn Mawr College and Swarthmore College, 2 other really fantastic liberal arts and sciences colleges, and also at the University of Pennsylvania. And this is a well-loved, well-used consortium. Over half of our students each year will choose to take a class outside of Haverford. All 3 of the liberal arts colleges are also cash-free campuses. So if there's a really awesome concert at Haverford, you show your ID and get in for free. But in the same way, if there's that great speaker at Bryn Mawr or a really great movie screening at Swarthmore, you hop on the free campus shuttle, you show your Haverford ID and get in for free to events on those campuses as well. Just to give you a sense of how close we are to the institutions that we partner with, and just about an hour and a half from downtown Manhattan. So really easy to get to Haverford. We're just about a 20-minute train ride from where the Bolt or Megabus or Amtrak would take you from New York to Philly. We have several degree partnership programs. These just scratch the surface in terms of what our alums choose to do when they graduate. But I think it really speaks to, yes, Haverford's a small school, but we have a big name in higher education. And if you're thinking about engineering, but you're not entirely sure that that's a path that you want to go down, we do have an accelerated degree program for students interested in engineering. You don't need to apply to that until your junior year at Haverford, so you have lots of time to choose. I mentioned the senior thesis. We think every student is capable of undergraduate research and really want this to be a culminating moment in each and every one of our students' life as a scholar. And that's a really exciting opportunity for you to take a step back and say, what is a question that has not yet been answered in my field? And work one-on-one with a faculty member going about answering that question. I promise we don't just throw research on you senior year and say good luck. That would be terrible, right? Instead, it's a part of your entire academic trajectory. And these are 4 physical spaces and also grant-making bodies that allow our students to make connections on campus, locally, and internationally. Lots to do as a student at Haverford, some really fantastic traditions, but the most important tradition on campus is our shared governance. Our students sit on every college-wide committee that makes decisions from hiring to our commitment to becoming carbon neutral, to thinking about the direction that Haverford should be going in. And we think this allows students to get a really amazing education rooted in the liberal arts. You'll learn to think critically and analyze thoroughly and communicate effectively. You're going to get a great education in research, but you'll also get an education in what it means to be an ethical leader, noting the decisions that you make don't only impact you, but the people and communities around you. I look forward to your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haverford College. Okay, just one last reminder, you can still put your questions in the Q&A for our presenters. I'm going to have all of our presenters now join me to answer the following question. What advice would you give someone going through the college search process? And we're going to start with Lehigh University.
Great. First and foremost, don't stress yourself out too much. But definitely make sure you're putting your best foot forward in your academics, what you're spending your time with, in your extracurricular activities, and really make sure that the list of schools that you're applying to, you're really interested in, because there's a lot of work to fill out X amount of applications when you don't have to. You can only go to one school, so don't stress too much about picking a huge list.
Okay, University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I would just say allow yourself grace. We know that this is a process for you and you're trying to, figure everything out. Don't be afraid to reach out to help, reach out to the admissions offices of the colleges, universities that you're applying to. Don't be afraid to reach out to your guidance counselors as they've had a lot of experience in this as well. This is a experience that we're all sort of going through together to try to figure out the best fit for you.
And Babson College.
Maintain the theme, I would definitely say be intentional with your college application process. I mean, there are so many great schools out there. And so there's so many schools that would be a fit. So really think about the things that you really need at an institution in order for you to thrive. And use those as driving factors as you're looking at the different colleges out there.
Great. Union College?
I would say to nail down one day out of the week, maybe 2. Parents, I know there's some parents in here too, so come to an agreement with your sons or daughters, one day out of the week, maybe 2, where you talk about admissions, what the student's done, as opposed to asking them daily or every other day, did you do this? What did you do this? Have you done that? It saves both parties stress, and you still have that time built in the schedule to make sure that progress is happening.
And Penn State University?
Make sure it feels right. If you don't feel right, it ain't right.
Haverford College.
This is great. I love the sort of emphasis on you feeling ownership over this process. I think what I always like to share is there are 3 decisions that are made in this process. You decide where to apply, then you receive your admission decisions, but then you ultimately choose where to enroll. And I just hope you feel a great deal of enthusiasm and agency as you're navigating this process too.
Okay, our next question is, what's one thing you want students to remember about your school? I know it can be hard to narrow it down to one, but what's the one thing? Lehigh University?
For me, I would say whatever you have room in your schedule for, no one's going to tell you no.
University of Pittsburgh.
I guess when it comes to the admissions process, more specifically, just remember that we practice rolling admissions. So you definitely want to get your application in early with us, just because seats tend to fill up pretty fast.
Babson College.
I mean, entrepreneurship is more than just starting a business. It's really a way of producing change. And here at Babson, that's all students love to do. And that's seen through the experiential learning that exists on campus.
And Union College.
We develop every student to lead with wisdom, empathy, and courage. That's what we do at Union.
Penn State University.
While Penn State may not be for everyone, we have something for everyone.
And Haverford College.
I think there's a Quaker saying of the continued search for truth. And I think your educational experience at Haverford sort of allows you to find truth, your own truth, the ways in which you're hoping to change the world. And looking forward to hearing your voices come through in your applications too.
Okay. And our final question, while we still have a few minutes, what is one myth you'd like to debunk on the college admissions process? Lehigh University, one myth.
That you need to pick a personal essay. That's what your counselor wants. Write your essay about what you want to write your essay about. I will be happy no matter what it is, as long as it's been spell check.
University of Pittsburgh.
Sorry, I was going to say the same thing. Pretty much just, when you're writing out your supplemental information, whether it be your Common App essay or a personal statement or what have you, a lot of students think they have to have some crazy story that they need to speak about. Many students may not necessarily have a crazy story. So, whatever's important to you, whatever really illustrates you as an individual, that's really what we like to see with the essays as well as just the application in general.
And Babson College.
Really be authentic. A lot of times people, like everyone is sharing, write what they think counselors want to hear. But I feel like what we all want to know is who are you and who's your authentic self, and really convey that through your application, because that's how we're going to understand if, this community is for you, as well as how you figure out if this school is for you.
Union College, your thought?
I would like to debunk the myth of the perfect college or the dream school even. You have to do your due diligence and do the research. There's so much information available to you now, and we're all accessible through these types of platforms as well as in actuality. So there's no perfect school. You have to find the perfect school that's the right fit for you.
Penn State University.
Debunk the myth that we as a state school preference in-state or out-of-state differently. We do not. We review everybody exactly the same. And if you're admittable, we will admit you to Penn State.
Haverford College.
You all are human beings, and so are we, reading your applications, right? And I think recognizing the humanity in this process and knowing that there's a deep amount of care that goes into review, regardless of what your decision is.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for answering our questions. And thank you for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 5-question survey. We'd really appreciate any feedback you can provide. We encourage you to check back on the schedule and sign up for more sessions, including sessions for tomorrow, April 7th. You'll be able to find this session's recordings as well as all of the other sessions recordings at strivescan.com/Brooklyn Tech. Thanks again.